Good evening, everyone!
Welcome to tonight's live session. It's Friday, it's 9 p.m., and we are back on an episode of
How to Ace Your Career!
So, guys, like you all know, we come here every Friday at 9 p.m. to discuss on various topics related on how to ace your career.
Absolutely.
We've also started a recent series on insights from various mentors, and I'm so fortunate of this LinkedIn family that people have responded and come here and shared their insights on how they have grown in their career. But before we get on to that, let me give a brief about both of us. I'm Nuthan, I'm a career and a life coach, and I coach especially mid-age people.
Yes.
Mid-age, when I say, it means people with 12 to 15 years of experience, and those who are stuck in their career, they are stagnating, they're looking for a change, either transiting from their career or looking for a job change. That is where I come into the picture and I help them. And till today, I've never had a challenge to get the results that my client desired.
Absolutely, that's amazing. And I am Dheeraj, and I'm a life coach, career coach, and a business coach. And together we form a company called as ND Life Coaching. Yay! So today it's a beautiful insight that we are going to give you once again from a mentor who's done so well from himself, achieved what we inspire for or we aspire for. All has been done. So I want all of you to please have your notes and pen in place so that you are able to, somebody has given his time, such valuable and precious time at that level, we need to make the most out of it. So I'm sure all of you are ready there, and welcome Shitija, Varun, and all those people who are listening to us and all who are going to listen to us later. Please keep everything ready. Here we go.
So today we have our guest, Mr. Naresh Choudhary, who's working with a great MNC in the IT industry, working in an amazing position. The only thing that I found in the entire interview was such a humble person, so grounded. It really shows the company that he's working, the leadership under which he's been serving.
True.
And so beautifully he's lived his career, not an ounce of arrogance or that kind of haughty attitude that here I am, this is what I've achieved. So beautifully he shared his insights right from the beginning of his childhood. The only sad thing is, it was a 50-minute interview. I could not be able to play it, so I've brought in some excerpts of the best part of it, and I will share whatever that I recollect from the entire interview at the end. If you have any questions, you can post in, and let us all really thank him at the end of the session.
Absolutely.
For really sharing his insights.
I feel what I like about these people is that they want to give so much. That's why the interview goes that long. Because they really want to add more value to people, because they know that all of you are going to learn and are eager to learn. And that's why I've seen most of the people, they want to give more. But then because there is constraint of time, we need to end this up in 30 minutes. That is why we've done that cutting part of it. So here we go. I'm sure all of you are ready and all set to listen in another amazing interview.
So give me just one single moment. I just share. And I would really like each one of you who's attending to let me know if the voice is clear and loud.
My school days and sort of gravitated towards the science subjects. Maths was something that I really loved. Physics was something that I really liked. So those are the subjects that I liked, and that's how I sort of gravitated towards it. I think 9th grade is when I started realizing the importance of studies. Because my dad was very unwell at some point. And it sort of because I was the eldest kid, and I sort of became a little more responsible, if I were to put it that way. And I was trying to figure out, at that age, you're not very mature, but I was trying to figure out what could be the way out. And I sort of felt that if I really study well, do well, I could sort of get us out of some of this. And sort of that's how I became more studious, I would say, in the 8th or 9th grade. And I took a target, I set a target for myself that I have to come first in class. I would be like, maybe ranked 20 out of 50 kids or something like that, or 25 or something like that. And I decided that, over a year's time, I want to get close to getting to number 1. but I got interested in textile because I met a few people who were in that field.
Okay.
It sort of developed some interest in my mind, so, roti kapda makan, right? So
True.
this is something that will always stay in vogue, something that will always be required, right? In some shape and form, people will always wear clothes.
Correct.
So that's how I actually gravitated towards textiles, and that's where I did my engineering, and I joined Arvind Mills after that.
Okay.
I was there for 3 years in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
And I had perhaps a lot of my foundational learning happened in Arvind Mills, but dealing with people, which is such an important part of whatever you do today, right?
Correct.
Dealing with people. How do you deal with different kinds of people?
Correct.
How do you handle tough situations?
Correct.
And how do you make sure that your basic values, principles are intact while you're dealing with all this? I think those are the key learnings that I had in those early foundational years. My purpose is something else, to acquire knowledge, to gain perspective, gain experiences. Then it's okay. I can be eating, something else for breakfast. Right? Doesn't matter. Right. So I think you should be a little more purposeful in the early days. Structure things out a little better. If you are in an ecosystem that is merit driven, that is driven by high performance work ethic,
yes,
it is driven by people who are like-minded in the sense of their values and principles, then I feel you don't need to plan too much. Because things will happen for you, right? As you just keep working at what you are doing well, and things will happen, right? So I would say look at your environment and do it. But if you're in an ecosystem which actually isn't of that nature, then I think you need to emphasize a lot more on the planning part.
Okay.
Right? And typically, what I would do, or what I tell young people also today, is to sort of plan for your next role while you are in the current.
Correct.
If you have a weekend, right, where you spend a lot more time
with them, yes,
right, absolutely. So I think that's a give and take balance that you constantly try. There are days when I may be fully engaged with work. There are days when I can actually give back a lot more time to my family. So that's the balance that you need to try. But I think you need to be very clear that there are no shortcuts to developing knowledge. I am a lifelong learner, which means if I don't learn something new in a matter of a couple of quarters, which is 3 to 6 months, I feel extremely uncomfortable.
Okay.
Very, very uncomfortable. In fact, and there was a time a few years ago when I felt that I know a lot of things. So whenever I feel that, I walk into the Infosys library now.
Okay.
It's very huge.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it is very huge. You walk into the library, you sort of glance through few books,
correct,
and it grounds you. It makes you feel that there is a lot more.
There's so much to learn in the world.
So much to learn. So you are up. Don't take it to your head. You are very successful. Don't put it into your head. At the same time, when you are down, don't take it to your heart. These are phases that come and go.
Wow.
You need to be balanced about them. And this is something that I think all of us need to understand well. The things that are not permanent, right? You are not going to be permanently down. You are not going to be permanently up, always highly successful.
Yes.
You need to go through your struggles. And what I always admire is the ability of people to come out of those troughs whenever they are down, right? How fast do you rebound? How fast do you come up again? It's very critical at this. Third thing is adaptability. See, I may have all the knowledge in the world, but if I am not able to apply it and adapt it to situations that I go through in life, that gives me my position, then that knowledge is just theory, right? It's just bookish knowledge.
Absolutely.
The ability to apply that knowledge, convert it into something that you can actually put to use in different situations, right? So the situational knowledge is what I call that, is very, very important. Fourth is having people around you to talk to. These could be your friends, these could be your mentors, these could be people who you like to speak with, whatever, right? I mean, they could be people at your workplace, they could be people in your family, they could be an extended friend circle. You need to be amongst people. We are built to be that way. We are a social creature.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I never spend time, with negative people. Because they can sap a lot of your energy.
Correct.
I mean, if you don't have a choice, right? Somebody in your family is like that, you don't have a choice, right? But then minimize the time.
Yes, and same thing if it happens at workplace. How do we manage?
Yeah, I think you should figure out a way of letting the person know that they are sort of treading on the negative path and it's not helping anybody.
How do you maintain that mental and emotional health? What do you do for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one is very clearly you need to physically fit. No two ways about it, right? If you're not physically fit, you are not going to be able to do anything that you want to do, right?
Right.
Be it the next job, be it the next business that you want to start as an entrepreneur, be it the next big task that you want to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So being physically fit is very, very important, and which means carving out whatever time you can carve out for yourself. In my case, I sort of keep about 45 minutes to an hour in the morning for myself.
Fantastic.
Right, so which is about the physical activity and whatever is the flavor of that day, right? It could be yoga, could be sort of brisk walking, could be running, right? Whatever suits the season and the climate, right? It's raining outside, and and going out.
Bangalore, that's happening.
Yeah, use that time exactly. Yeah. Use the time of the day for that. Second, break the monotony. So every weekend I make it a point to speak with somebody who is outside of my circle.
Wow.
It means I'm not talking to my own set.
Same set of people.
Yeah, these are people from outside. They have nothing to do with what I do. The perspective that they bring, right? For example, yesterday I had breakfast with a friend who is creating an NGO on culture.
Okay.
Right. So very interesting. Not something.
Yes, sounds interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So I spent time, meeting him over breakfast. So every weekend or whenever I can find time, I just break the monotony, get into a completely different circle, which is not my usual circle. Third thing is spending time with your family, right? And the fourth thing is using the time to prepare for your next, which could be your next week that is coming up. It could be the day after, the next day, right? The day after. You are meeting somebody, you are actually getting into a new set of people that you want to interact with, right? So preparing that, right? I think that is very, very important. I think look at career in a long view of time, with a long view of time. Second, use small successes to fuel the next one.
Okay.
Right? So create small milestones. Doesn't have to be big ones and big successes, right? It doesn't have to. Small successes, incremental successes, right? Small victories, celebrate them.
That's the key.
Yeah, celebrate. So I celebrate all the time, right? And my celebrations are very, very small. I buy myself a book.
Wow.
It's a gift from me to me, right? So I did something really well, and it could be a small task, right? I have accomplished. So sort of recognize yourself for doing the right things. And more importantly, I do this for right behaviors. Correct right behaviors on work, right behaviors on health, right behaviors which are leading to a better version of myself. And that's very important. For example, my team had a feedback for me some time ago.
Yeah.
And when I worked on that feedback and I did better, and when they told me that I'm better at it now.
Wow.
I recognized myself that I did something really well.
How important is leadership, and what are the things that you have done to really do well as a leader? Because I think beyond a point in your career, there has to be that aspect coming in. Only then you can move up the ladder. If you don't become a great leader, you don't have great people skills, it's very difficult to move up. So what have you done to really keep up the pace? And one beautiful thing that you just mentioned, that you take feedback from the team and work on it. That's an amazing quality that you've developed. Anything else that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always believe that leadership is like gravity. Right?
Okay.
It's there all around us. sometimes it needs some sort of experiment to show that okay, it is of this nature and that nature.
Yeah.
But I think a very, very important facet, because everything that we do, right, comes from taking people along. Uh, we cannot accomplish much if we are trying to do stuff alone.
Yes.
And that's a realization that you get when you are amongst talented people, right? And at Infosys or at Arvind also, I was always amongst very, very talented people, right? So when you are amongst talented people, I think you realize that you have to take people along. You will have different kinds of people with different backgrounds, different contexts. Their thought processes are very different, right?
Yeah.
But you align towards a shared goal. That is very important. That shared common objective could be a short-term project that you are doing, right? It could be a long-term strategy that you are putting in place. But making sure that people understand it in a very, very clear term is very critical. The third thing is respect. Respect begets respect. If you are respecting your people, if you are respecting their craft, their capabilities,
yeah,
you get that respect back.
Correct.
I think it's very important to sort of look at people in that term, right? That these are people who are capable people, right? They may be going through their ups and downs, right? Their emotions, but I think these are capable people and they have the ability to do fantastic things for the company, for the team. Acknowledging that is very, very important. The other thing is sort of giving people a clear sense of direction and purpose. It's very important for everybody to see what the North Star is. Where are we heading towards? Why are we going there? Right? And answering the question why. I repeat that several times with people that, this is why we are doing it. Right? And you don't have to do it because somebody like me is telling you. You have to do it because of the attachment with that larger purpose, attachment with that larger goal. And I have always found people, sort of sign up to a bigger purpose without hesitation and willing to do all kinds of sacrifices that are required to get there. And that comes from the team more than the leadership. For me, I think there are several role models at Infosys, at Arvind that I always had. Mr. Verma that I mentioned about very clearly early on in my career, that was a big influence. Continues to be, I keep talking to him often. At Infosys, Mr. Satyendra Kumar was a big influence. Mike was here, he retired a few years ago.
Yeah.
And at Infosys, I think no dearth of great leadership because our founders, Mr. Murthy's vision, which drives all of us. Nandan, Dinesh, Krish, Shibu, all of the founders, fantastic leaders, very humble, very grounded, very, very people oriented, and very forward looking.
Yeah.
I think those are the qualities that sort of we want to see more and more leaders.
In fact, it's so amazing, and you're so fortunate that you had such role models to look up to, and then learn from them and probably put that into your system without even realizing that you learn so many things. I think that's very crucial, that having some role models in your life, and then by default you start shadowing them in your mind, and you start picking up qualities which you have not even realized, and it's happened. Wonderful. One thing which is going on currently, you also would have heard a lot of layoffs happening here and there. What is that people should really work towards, that they stay off the curve? And if it happens, then what should be the attitude towards that this is what has happened to me, how do I take it ahead?
Yeah, no, very, very important question, Nutan. And this is telling of the times we live in. Right?
Yeah.
I think our parents' generation, they, my dad was in the railways for the peak period. And it was as if it was lifelong employment.
Correct. Yeah.
The organization is.
You join and you're going to retire.
You join and you retire, right?
Yes.
And my uncles and a lot of people were in those kinds of setups, right? But those were the days, right? And I think it worked well because the workforce also looked for that, right?
Yes.
But I think today the situation is very different. Even if an organization were to offer lifelong employment, would the workforce be willing to take lifelong
is the question.
Perhaps no. Right? Yes. So I think it's a give and take, right? If you are not in it for lifelong employment, you expect the organization to then be looking at lifelong employment. Right? So I think maybe the answer is somewhere in between, right?
Correct.
So that is one important aspect that we need to understand.
Yeah.
The second thing is, see, if somebody is actually coming out of a role, it is not necessarily always, right? In some cases it may be true, but it is not true that the person is not good. It is just the reality that the company perhaps doesn't have the means and the resources to continue to hold them, right? Because their business model has changed, or something has gone, unexpectedly not according to the plans that they had, etc., right?
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I tell people is to sort of think of it from that perspective, that it's not that you have done something wrong. It's just that the company's plans have changed.
Yeah.
And therefore the situation has come to what it has come.
Yeah.
And second, keep yourself upskilled, right? Keep yourself competent. Keep yourself carrying that aspect of knowledge and understanding, then you should be able to switch and get into something else very quickly. If that takes time, then like I said, build on small successes, right? Networks are very important. I have a network of people. If you are in an industry, then if you spend some time, you start to talk to people in your network, right? You start to talk to people who are in your circle. A lot of the network actually comes to the fore when these kind of situations happen, right? You have people telling you about opportunities, yes. You have people telling them that, by the way, there is an opening here and things like that, right? So keep yourself, in touch with your network, right? That's very important.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on what are the newer things that are emerging in your industry. And you don't have to wait for this to happen, right? You should be doing it
absolutely
all the time.
Yes.
Every few months, every few quarters, and try to look at what's happening, what's emerging, what's evolving, and how you can actually keep yourself a little ahead. I would say that is the best way. And keep yourself mentally engaged. Don't get into a negative spiral, right, where your thoughts are sort of constantly pulling you down. This can happen, right? This is the nature of the work setup that we live in today.
Yeah.
And I feel it has happened both ways, right? People have left companies.
Yeah.
Companies have, sort of let go people. Both are happening at the same time.
Yes.
So that's just the nature of times we live in. And it's important to first accept it, that that's how things are going to be. Don't blame yourself for it, if you haven't done something wrong. Correct? But focus on keeping yourself ahead of the curve. Learn, use the opportunity to reskill, upskill, correct? And sort of nudge yourself to using your network really well.
Right, great. So from what I've really heard, and if I capture it in brief, you've been talking, one is lifelong learning, to keep upgrading, upskilling yourself so you remain relevant at every point of time in your career. Second, role models, really very important. You look up to them, learn from them. Extend it further to your peer circles. You're networking all the time. And when you have amazing relationship with people, you'll never be in dearth of opportunities. Absolutely. If such time comes in, you can always reach out to them. Keep yourself physically, mentally, emotionally fit, so that when there is a down curve, you can sustain, and when there is an upward trend, that time also you are staying and you're grounded. And you've had such amazing relationships that of course goes to your credit also, because it's never a one-way street. Relationship is always a two-way thing, and you've so beautifully maintained relationships across from the first job till now. That's an amazing quality that you have.
Wow.
Wasn't it amazing? There was so much more beyond this, but I just captured the most important parts. Dheeraj, why don't first you share, and then I would share what are the points that I've really taken from this interview.
I think most important is, what I could experience is the positivity towards everything. Okay, every approach that he was giving, every learning that he was giving, is more about how do you be positive in every given situation. So even he's saying that if you lose a job, it's nothing that you are bad or something is wrong. It basically is the equation. I also like that point, which is a very beautiful point. He said that we want company to retain us all our life. Are we ready to give our entire 30, 40 years? So these are beautiful insights which I think I heard for the first time coming from it's really amazing. At the same time, I could see as she rightly said, the calmness was there in while giving, and sharing the information, the eagerness, the calmness, pretty thoughtful and pretty beautifully presented everything. I think it was. I'm sure all of you here have learned a lot from him. Yeah.
So I would really want each one of you to share what have you learned from this interview, share your learnings, reach out and convey a thanks to him, because I believe that it's really not easy for a person like him to spare that kind of time, come here and share every bit of it.
Very true.
It, in fact, there's some things which are not played out here in the video because of shortage of time, which I would like to share. One, he spoke about how he was going through, their family was going through financial distress, and he took up on him to really work very hard so that he can pass his 10th in flying colors, his 12th, he can get admission in engineering and start supporting the family in the quickest possible way.
Absolutely.
And that is why an average kid like him, who would stand somewhere around 20th, 25th, he stood up first in his class in 9th standard. That's the kind of effort. So shows he's such a responsible person. Second, he always conveyed this, that in 3-6 months, when I realize I've not learned something new, I get uncomfortable. And somewhere he said that, when I started feeling that I know it all, I learned a new language. Why that choice? Because I had to start from scratch. Here I was in a class with kids of 15 years, 16 years, 20 years, and I, a 40-year-old man, doesn't know anything about it. That made me grounded. When the kids are saying, "Arey, uncle ko kuch nahi aata hai." Imagine putting yourself in such kind of situation where you have to be with people who don't know anything about you, the success that you achieve. There is no background. You go there as a student, and he was really appreciating that teacher. I forget her name. That he says one of the best teachers he's encountered. So I think then he also spoke about his first job in Arvind Mills. So coming from a South Indian background, and those times were times when we would only eat food what was cooked in the family, and then moving to Gujarat for his first job. Absolute change of food, living on your
culture,
own. Yes.
Oh God, language, everything so different.
Yes, and that is where he was pointing out that I didn't get food that was okay, but what's more important is how do I take in all this? How do I get exposed to all this learning that I was getting from the leaders around me? When he said leadership is like gravity, it's like he's seeking all the time what he can learn from people around. That's an amazing attitude that he displayed. And then he, of course, shared that when he went to the textile mills, that was his first job. His boss told him, dirty your hands. It means go there and experience the cloth, experience how it is happening. He could have just shrugged his shoulders off, right? But he took that learning. And he mentioned to me just day before our interview, he had spoken to his first boss. Imagine 25, 30 years, you make relationships relevant. You stay with them. What an amazing qualities. So, we keep talking about networking in our so-called today's era. But somehow it becomes such a callous word, networking, just because I need something, and it becomes more like trading. Here he is the one who's teaching us relationships are meant to be cultivated.
Very true.
And relationship not only with seniors
everywhere
in work life, but he was also talking about how they sit over a breakfast table and he's listening from his daughter. He's sharing his experiences, day-to-day experience, and he's learning from each one. So they all have this space where they can share what went and what happened throughout the day to them. So a beautiful way where there are times when work demands attention, there are times when family demands attention. You should be able to balance out.
Absolutely.
Beautiful definition of work-life balance again. It's all about priorities. And staying humble and grounded, walking into the library and making yourself realize that there you still have so little knowledge. There's so much more you can get from the world. I believe that's the secret to his success. That is a lifelong learner, an amazing leader. I think people would love to work under his leadership. That's a beautiful thing that he mentioned. That when you specify the goal or a bigger purpose, people rally around you.
Yeah, align. Yeah.
Yes. That's the great quality of a leader, right? So it was an amazing.
And that point also I really like when he said, if you're on the upper side, don't take it on your head.
Yes.
And if you're going down, don't take it to your heart. I think that was truly a beautiful statement that we need to reflect, all of us, that it happens that we just become one level above and we reach a stage that we tend to feel, and if we are having problems. So I think what a beautiful thing he said about that. If you're up, don't take it on your head. If you're down, don't take it to your heart. Wow, that was truly amazing. Amazing.
So thank you very much, Mr. Naresh Choudhary.
Absolutely, sir. It was great.
Heartfelt gratitude.
On behalf of all the audience who've been listening to you and who will listen to you for a week, we would like to thank you so much for such a lovely insight that you've given to these people. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people to grow in their career. So once again, thank you so much.
In fact, there's one thing more I would like to mention here. I'm going to try and upload the entire interview on my YouTube channel. And for all those who really want to hear the entire thing,
you can go through it.
You still have a choice. You can go and listen to that, because there are really some amazing stories out there. So thank you very much, guys, for being here, staying with us, coming here every Friday night and spending this half an hour with us. That is how we can share with each other, learn from each other, and it keeps us excited and enthusiastic to come here every Friday at 9 p.m. and share our insights, from our mentor, and help you ace your career.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night. God bless. See you, everybody.
Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your day.